The Witcher 3 Clash of Dragons is an action role-playing game developed by the Polish government and published by Conagra Foods in 2015 for all the consoles and all the computers. It is based on the latest installment in George R.R. Romero's critically acclaimed Water and Steam series. It is set in the fictional lands of Westfall and Brazil in Romero's now famous pre-steampunk setting, set thousands of years before the arrival of steampunk technology. In this world, summers are never ending as the children roam the streets like animals, achieving no education until their 18th birthday, at which point they are sent to the North Pole to fight off immigrants. The world is controlled by witchers, mystical beings who search for water with their enchanted hazel branches. Only upon the discovery of water may winter begin, which lasts until the chosen witcher has drunken the entirety of the world's water. It is a beautiful cycle. You play as Gerald, an old Hebrew witcher who has been banished to the North Pole for reasons uncertain. Politics are very important in this land, and an annual tournament, the Game of Thrones, is held to determine the president of Westfall. Gerald chickened out of entering the tournament many years ago, and he retreated to this icy wasteland to train for a political comeback. He spends his time killing people with his dog and crusading to eliminate prostitution from the snowlands. For real though, Gerald really hates prostitution. He passed pre-steampunk legislation to completely outlaw copulation within the borders of Snowtown, and he really turned this horrible place around overnight. Once engulfed in a near constant orgy of fluids, this frigid land is terrorized by his abstinent stifle, and sins of the flesh are punished by death. None have escaped. Every other day you play as Alistair from the Dragon Age series, who has abandoned his hometown, which he was supposed to someday be mayor of so that he could attend the prestigious King Saud University, where he majored in Islamic conversion and minored in women's studies. He would later go on to earn his master's in witchering. His dad was super disappointed in him and died. Alistair returned home and revealed his greatest secret. He was a homosexual. He was crowned king of Lake Town for this achievement, and he immediately ordered a town-wide murder-on-sight ordinance, which dramatically lowered taxes. You're given little control over your character creation. You will be Gerald the Witchman. You will be old. You will use the sword. Sure, you can use a shield or a big sword, but you're still gonna be the sword man at the end of the day. However, there are customizations to be had eventually. I chose to make my wizard hematophobic, which means he faints at the sight of blood. I then made him a hemophiliac, which means he is highly skilled at bleeding. I also gave him the ability to produce extra blood from his enemies. Gerald is a troubled man. I killed the Gerald from the first game because he accidentally fell on top of a woman and got his Wilkins stuck in her Capri Sun. I spent time with my subjects in the tavern. I trained new villagers to recognize the dangers of sexual congress. I added to my extensive toy collection. Gerald is a troubled man. The Witcher 3, A Murder of Crows' graphics are akin to the art of Michelangelo. His early art. The voice acting is bad. The combat is passable, but not very fun. You often accidentally remove your weapons just by going into the inventory screen for some reason. This led me to occasionally being forced to fight off enemies with my fists, which is arguably cooler, I'll admit. This game does have a dog. You can also play as the dog. I ripped someone's throat out. I couldn't do that in real life, at least not without punishment. But a dog is not held back by something so petty as human laws. A dog is man's best friend, but his own judge. Dog laws dictate that all throats may be ripped open freely. All scents must lead to a source of odor. The dog segments are very realistic. For a moment, I nearly believed I was a real dog. You queue up actions and your character carries them out. You also have a small gang of hoodlums who follow you and are killed off horror movie fast. You will eventually ascend to the rank of Witcher level 2 when you get your Skyrim helmet. Then upon Witcher level 3, you get to wear the witch's raiment, which is adorned in human ears and head dongles for enhanced reception of your dowsing abilities. Cat Daddy Games also provides you with an interesting look outside the box in this installment of Wicked the Musical. What if you played The Witcher, but you weren't a Witcher? This is what the Alistair segments allow us to see. There are very controversial segments. Many people were drawn to the Game of Thrones series by the ability to play as a Witcher after all. But rest assured, you will not be disappointed. Nobody is safe from your judgment. You can kill Gary and Desk Fan, Bertha Crockpot, the Scullery Maid, and especially Little B. If this is the Game of Thrones, where is the throne? Is this it? Is this it? Is this it? This one? George Orwell's epic saga of Earth, Wind, and Fire continues, but what lessons does it teach us so far? We have seen murder, deceit, love, boats, and prostitution. But is this game the new Skyrim? It has many features of a good Skyrim, such as snow and swords, but it also features such additions as simplified dialogue choices and wearable capes, making it a vast improvement over the now outdated Elder Scrolls classic. If I may quote the legendary character Eddie from the first visual novel in the Witchman series, "Winter is cold." This is a very wise statement. I believe Eddie would also be wise enough to rate The Wicker Man 3 The Perfect Storm with a 10 out of 10. It may not be perfect, but it is more perfect than a lot of games.